Hello, I'm Zardas, and let's talk trading. So, today I'm going to be talking to you about the Big Five Sporting Goods Corporation. We're going to take a look at the chart and do a quick rundown of what I see on the chart and what I think or what I'll be looking for tomorrow on Friday, September 3rd. But first, if you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to follow along with my trade ideas and my chart analysis, and just kind of to share along this journey with me. So hit that subscribe button. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump in here. So what I have up right now is the weekly chart view. And I like to start with a zoomed out view so that I can see what the general trend is in the long term. And so we can see going back all the way back to July 2020 is how far back I went. We had a higher high, higher low, and we were up on an upward trend there until here. And so we have this mark with a really thick green line, and that is the turning point for where that upward trend ended previously. And then it came back down. So that'll be a major resistance point. And it came back down to down here in July. It hit a lower low, then it hit a lower high. Then it hit a higher low, and that signified the turnaround of that trend and potentially the start of a new trend. Then the next week it hit a higher high than the previous high. And so that really showed that now we're on an upward trend again, and that continued into this week. And so you can see that we have an up arrow for the weekly trend. This down here is another turnaround point. So 1992 will be a solid support level if it were to come back down that way. These yellow lines I've marked are the previous week's high and low. So we generally want to have the low for this week higher than the previous one, and we want the high to be higher than the previous high. That is what we want to see for continuation of the trend. Now I want to take a look at the average true range for the week, and that is 4.32, and that is actually the highest we've seen for this company for the entire time you can see in the chart. And we are actually above the average there. So to me, that means that tomorrow, which is the last day of the week, there will be downward pressure from that, or pressure to not go too much higher, although we have all of this range. But I don't think we will surpass the high for the week on Friday tomorrow. I think there's a lot of pressure to keep it lower, and that is just one reason why is that average true range is already surpassed for the week. So let's look now at some of the momentum indicators for the week. We can see RSI is on the way up, and it is actually passing its moving averages, which I have on here, which kind of helped me see the trend on RSI, and it has surpassed that, which is a good sign. And the same with momentum. It has surpassed its moving average and is positive for the week. MACD is starting to trend positive, which also might mean a turnaround. So all of these, we don't have cross yet over in the MACD. So we should see that soon, I would think. And all of those indicators would be good signs for next week. Okay, now we can see a script that I've put together which shows the Bollinger Bands here. And we are inside the Bollinger Band, which is good to see. And then we are also above the 20 EMA and the 50 EMA as well as the 100 EMA. So we're trending upward on all of those. And that is all good to see for the weekly. I feel very strongly that that upward trend is heading in the right direction. So let's move on to the trend on the daily chart. Now you can see going back 6 months, we had a higher low, higher high, higher low. So we were trending upwards through here. And then we had a lower high here and a lower low. So it was starting to show a downward trend. But then we got a higher high back in May, and it resumed the upward course until it hit that major point of resistance from the weekly chart that we saw, and it came down and got a lower low, and then started a downward trend that continued all the way to here. And then we had a lower high and then a higher low, and that signified the change in trend. Then we had a higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we had a lower low. And that was a little bit concerning, but then we followed it up with a higher high, which was good. And then a higher low, and that really showed that we're back on the upward trend on the daily chart. And then we had the volume kick in as well, and that started to go up once that trend was confirmed. Now we're seeing there was a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and a higher high here. So that is all a good sign on the daily chart. We're in an upward trend there as well. Now, looking at the momentum on the daily chart, you can see that RSI has topped out a little bit and has come back down, which just may mean a little bit of consolidation is taking place here. We're still in a positive momentum as it is above the moving average for RSI, and the shorter moving average is above the longer one, which is a good sign too, that red line above the blue line. Then here, momentum is up as well, very positive, and trending upwards as well. Now that might have, that we might see a slowdown in momentum though, because that did come back down, and it is kind of near where the peak was before. The same thing with MACD. We have seen an upward trend, except it is pretty high and extended. We might see that slow down, and that daily trend here might get a little bit of consolidation here soon as a result of that slower momentum. Take a look at my script for the daily chart as well. You can see today we had a really high spike that was well above the Bollinger Band. This lighter green line is double the Bollinger Band. So a Bollinger Band is typically 2 standard deviations away from the moving average. This lighter green is 4 standard deviations. So of course we came right back down, as you would expect. The price can go up along this dark green line, but I expect anytime it is above that, or especially above the light green, that it will come back down, and that is what we saw today. And so now we can see that we're back in a healthy spot for a continued rise, but we also had a crossover here of the shorter EMA, and then we have this long-term EMA that is continuing to trend upwards, and volume is really picking up on that daily chart. So now let's take a look at what we could see tomorrow. This is the 15-minute chart. Going back, we had an upward trend here, and then it kind of consolidated for a couple of days before continuing upwards. And then we had a shift downwards here for a few days. Then we started to head back up, and this is where, at the beginning of this week, or I guess that was just yesterday actually, we started to head back up again, and we've had higher highs. But then today, a little bit concerning, we hit a lower high, and then we started to continue to come back up and fight it a little bit, but then we hit another lower high and started to come back down, and we're on a downward trend. But just at the end of the day, we hit a higher low, and we did not hit a higher high yet. And so tomorrow, what I will be looking for is for it to get a higher high above 30.34, or a lower low below 29.45. And if it goes outside of either of those, I think that would be the time to look at potentially getting an entry point. Now let's take a look at our momentum. It looks like, based on the RSI, our momentum might be shifting positive again from the RSI on the 15-minute chart, along with the momentum itself. It's coming up, and then the MACD is starting to trend upwards as well. So if I were to guess, we will hit a higher high, and then it will continue upwards at some point tomorrow, but I'm not quite sure. Now, looking at my script for the chart, again, we got a little bit too high, and that was where it shifted back down. But then it couldn't recover, and it came back down, and it broke below the moving average. Couldn't get back above that, and then it broke below the 50 EMA as well, and that is where we are now. We're trying to get above that 50 EMA again, and if we can, then we should also establish a new higher high, and things should start to turn back up, but we'll see. So the next thing I like to look at when I'm trying to decide how to enter, I like to look at the IV rank for the implied volatility. And on this one right now, it is 54.08% according to bar charts. And that indicates to me that either options or shares would be a worthwhile approach. IV is not too high that it would turn me off from there, and it's also not low enough that it would really, really excite me. But it should be an okay amount. And so if you see it break above, you could consider doing shares, buying shares, or a call. Or if it breaks below, you could go with a bearish strategy of either shorting or buying a put. But anyway, that is it for Big Five Sporting Goods Corporation. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Take care.